asked me about vibrato, I asked them to play a note and don't have any vibrato. Try this when you go home, and you're not going to believe how hard it is to just think about it. Think about playing that note and not moving it. Because we have a tendency to want to, to do something with it, but just play that note. See if you can really get that note in tune. Don't go over it. Play the note. And then see if you can slowly add a little movement. And when I'm doing it, when I use a vibrato with my index finger, my thumb will come off the back of the neck, and the fulcrum that's happening is the underside of my index finger is really gripping the underside of the neck that it's happening. So you see there that the thumb is off the neck. Now if I'm vibratoing with my third finger, which normally most of the vibrato I'll do is the first or third finger. Every now and then with the second, almost never with the pinky. But same thing with the third finger. I'll come off a bit. Now, if I'm bending, that's another type of thing. And this is another thing I'd like you to try when you get home: is try bending a note without vibrato. Just do the classic whole step bend, like if you're in the key of A, bend from D to E on that G string from the 7th fret. Bend that note, get it in tune, but don't use any vibrato. It's really difficult to do. At that point, I'm using my thumb. My hands aren't particularly large. My neck width is fairly narrow, so it's easy for me to do. Your neck or hand size may not be conducive to that technique, but that is how I usually bend. See that thumb come over the top, like Jimi Hendrix, And that gives me extra power and extra strength to then add that vibrato. So, noodling, yay. So you just gotta kind of isolate it and you can make exercises out of it. But full disclosure, once again, I never worked on it. But it's, as I, later in my career now, I'm teaching a lot more and doing instructional courses and sometimes sitting down one-on-one. So having to explain what's been kind of a natural evolution is interesting for me. But that's really what it's been. But I think that it's also the players that you choose to emulate. Like we talked earlier, one of my big influences was Ace Frehley and then Steve Lukather. Both had wonderful vibratos. Ace's was a very wide. It's a very controlled rhythmic vibrato. Whole step bend kind of vibrato. But then Steve Lukather, in the way he, I stole more from Steve Lukather than probably anybody. I love his conviction and his passion and his vibrato. And one of the things that I also started to realize later in years that my favorite players were the ones that had such command of rhythm. You know, Steve Lukather's time feel, his sense of knowing exactly where the beat is, to where he can place the note right on the beat, or a little ahead of the beat, or behind the beat. And that's where part of the emotion comes from. That's where part of the true expression is, that the time and the groove is so internalized or externalized, as the case may be. They can really have some really specific placement. And that's what can tug on you, you know, give you energy, or, you know, tug on your heartstring a little bit. So it's those guys that we emulate, the guys that we love growing up and influence us, right? But that's the hardest thing, is to get it to slow down, to be very musical, especially when we're working on speed and technique. We might have all these chops, but then what is that note that you land on sound like? You don't want it to be like a B string, you know? the B string part. A fast vibrato can have a nice place occasionally, but I prefer a little slower and more soulful. But it takes time to develop that strength. But good luck to you, and thank you for the question.
Okay, we have time for one more. Right down here, right